What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Black Male, where we talk about surviving the stigma, standards, and systems. Once again, my name is Dwayne Pate, one half of the host here. My brother EJ Stewart, who has been riding with me for we've been doing this for a year now. We have reached the year mark, so we are excited about all that we're doing, and this is episode number 50. So we are excited that we kind of made it through the year mark and just excited for the things to come. Once again, make sure you follow us on all social media outlets on Instagram, Facebook. Specifically, follow us on subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can get our subscribers up. We are currently at about 65. So if you can help me get to 100, I'll be great. I'll greatly appreciate it. We have another great guest on today, Brother Kawahn Young. And what I'm going to do is kind of turn it over to him and let him talk a little bit about himself, and then we'll kind of jump into some more questions along the lines of what he do and how he has overcame some of the stigma, standards, and systems. So, Brother Young, it's on you.
Okay. Good evening. I thank y'all for allowing me to share y'all platform this evening. I am Kawahn Young. I'm the founder of SOY Baltimore, which is Save Our Young. SOY Baltimore is a nonprofit 501c3. A little background about myself. I am a Baltimore County police officer where I'm assigned as a school resource officer. And I've been in law enforcement for 20 years, straight out of high school. Policing afforded me the resources to continue my education. So that's why I joined law enforcement out of high school.
Okay. So, Brother Young, tell us a little bit about where you're from. Where what area of Baltimore you're from?
Yeah, as you can hear in my accent, of course, I'm a Baltimore native. Born and raised between two homes, which would be I grew up in the Westport area, Westport, Mount Linus, and I grew up in Southwest Baltimore, Emerson Village, of course. Been here pretty much my whole life.
Okay. So growing up in Westport and West Baltimore, like, tell us some of the things that you had to overcome as a young Black man to kind of get to where you are, and like some of the different scenarios or struggles that you might have to deal with, that you might have dealt with growing up.
Well, early on in my childhood, I am a second generation law enforcement. My dad, at the age of 8, he was shot in the head as a police officer. So that day still plays in my head like it was yesterday. So that would be the first thing that I had to overcome. So helping my dad as a youngster has molded me to be the man that I am. So outside of that, just the basic trials and tribulations that come up with growing in, an urban city. So seeing relatives doing wrong, things like that. So I've always just tried to do the opposite of what I've seen some of my relatives or some people in my neighborhood doing. Went to one of the best high schools in Maryland, Banner Nation, Dunbar High School.
Absolutely.
So there at Dunbar High School, not being from East Baltimore, I formed a lot of life-lasting relationships with good brothers. So that also molded me into the man that I am. Many wouldn't have thought I would have been a police officer, but I believe it was truly God sent, and it's God's plan.
What was it like, having that plan for yourself to become an officer, being from the city, being a young Black male, and all of the things that were going on back then that are even going on today? What was that like? How was that experience? What was that thought process?
So believe it or not, I didn't want to become a police officer, but playing sports at Dunbar, having that big head, that ego, I was probably one of the better players on my team. However, I didn't put the work in. So I look at myself now, it's hindsight, but I was the weakest link, even being one of the better players. I didn't put in the work. So that would be one obstacle. So, like I said, it allowed me to continue my education going into the police department. And with that, being a Baltimore native, playing sports throughout the city, um, it made me a better police officer
Mm.
because one, I was invested, um, did my job the right way. People knew who I was, so I've always been, you know, good with connecting with people. So it worked out to my benefit. And seeing where policing is now, it's always been um, a challenging task, of course, in most urban areas. Um, I think it's my plan and it's my vision to improve that relationship, um, and also to diversify the uh, the criminal justice field as a whole, not just policing, but as we can see, there's huge disparities in sentencings of black men
Mm-hmm.
or minorities. So just exposing our youth to see, representation in that field um, is one of my goals.
And tell us a little bit more about, Save Our Young and, where and how you came up with it and what it's about and just where it's going.
Okay. So, as I said, I started policing um, as a police cadet at the age of 18. Um, started, you know, in the PAL centers where I formed a lot of relationships in the community. And a lot of my mentees within the PAL center lost their lives along that Pennsylvania corridor. Um, so I continued my career as a police officer in the city, Western District, a police detective. I worked in a number of capacities. Um, so just seeing the shutdown of the PAL centers, the recreation centers, I transitioned to Baltimore County Police, and I saw that I needed to do more
Mm-hmm.
for the community. So that's where, you know, the vision for SOY came. Um, Initially, it started out as wanting to create a PAL center, but I knew SOY was bigger than just a PAL center. We wanted to incorporate the mental health. We wanted to incorporate teachers. So the vision for SOY is to engage our youth, um, to improve the relationship with law enforcement, educate them on the law, workforce development, but focusing on that decision making because as we know, these last few years has been challenging for our youth, but a lot of them in our city we suffer from conflict resolution and
Mm-hmm.
giving them the resources to handle those conflicts is definitely key.
So with your program, is this what like do you is it count? I know you say you're based in it, like you're working in county, but is it a county and city, or is it like is it open to all when it comes to reaching the youth and the people that your the target audience?
Of course, we do community events, but we're doing county and city.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now, it's been Emerson Village in the Woodlawn area because that's like my base right now, being as I'm working out of the Woodlawn precinct and
Mm-hmm.
Woodlawn High School. So, but we do community bike rides where, um, of course, we attack health and wellness through the bike rides, but we also have a lot of law enforcement that participate in these events. So creating those safe spaces where youth can see law enforcement in a different light
Mm-hmm.
has been one of our focal points. It's just that law enforcement engagement piece. I know we look for law enforcement to fix so many things in our community, but that's not what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to. The narrative is always that law enforcement is bad, but I know I'm connected to so many people that are doing it the right way or that's
Mm-hmm.
invested in the community that I gotta create that platform to. I'm building that bridge. So what we call our annual bike ride is building bridges. So that's what we're doing.
And how challenging has it been to combat that generational, because I mean it's always been a presence of, you know, the black community having feelings towards law enforcement, but it seems now, with the youth it's just even more present, in the music more commonly and just in general. Like how has that been combating that element and trying to do what you guys are doing?
It's very challenging. One, every time, it seems like every time we have an event, there's some major incident with law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an imperfect profession.
Mm-hmm.
Done by imperfect people, but we want them to be perfect in doing it. I think we can change laws and things like that, but we also got to have people that's more invested in the profession, or we're going to continue to get the same results. So it's been very challenging. Also, just the music. It's not cool to be a police officer, even though there's so many police officers that have played collegiately, played, professionally, and somehow they find their way into policing. But it's not the cool thing to do. But I'm someone who never been picked on, always was one of the most popular. So I always have to share my story. And once people talk to me, they can figure out as they say, one of the coolest. They say they don't deal with too many police, but they make an exception for me. So I've never had that problem. But now we're dealing with a new generation, so all those rules go out the window. So being creative, and they know once they have a honest conversation with you, they know who's real and who's fake.
And how was it? How was it getting through the challenges of the pandemic, or was that something that affected you guys, or how was that piece?
Oh, the pandemic was horrible. It wasn't good for my mental health either, because we were kicking off our football camp. I reached out to a number of former professional athletes that's now in law enforcement to have this great football camp, and then the pandemic had shut it down. It was kicking off. July makes 3 years that SOY has been founded or determined a 501c3. So finding staff, finding the support, the pandemic kind of made us be even more creative. So then we go to the virtual platform, which many people aren't used to. Trying to connect with kids virtually is hard. Some people have homes that they don't want to. Many people didn't have internet. There's so many challenges that it was hard, but we weathered the storm and we're still here. But that was our biggest challenge, doing things virtually.
Now, I do have a question with the move from Baltimore City to Baltimore County. How was that transition for you in law enforcement? And what have been some of the challenges that you come across?
Both agencies are night and day. I would say Baltimore City is more diverse. So I guess one agency might not like the other. I'm not going to divulge which one don't like the other, but it was a total change. One agency is always in the limelight, and it's a lot of great people that do the job. And I know there's some things that they should be scrutinized with. So I'm never going to just take police inside. I'm gonna give you the fairest opinion that I can give. One agency, I guess they were geared more to traffic and things like that. And coming into the agency, couldn't understand why they were so into it. But now being there, I can see the number of accidents and things like that. But for me, I'm someone who try to give everyone a fair shake. So if I can cut you a break, then that's what I'm going to do, because I know, people fall on hard times. So it was a big adjustment, being with a department for 10 years and then changing. Took me about 3 years to even say that maybe longer, but I know it was at least 3 years. I said, I'm going back to the city because that change. But I had prayed for it, so I stuck it out. So it's a major adjustment. I'm still adjusting, and breaking barriers at the end of the day. So
That's good. I applaud you for even making a change. Because sometimes comfortable can be easy and comfortable can be convenient, but kind of going out on the limb and doing something different, requires a great deal of courage and fortitude. So I applaud you for that. Because I mean, either way, it's a difficult profession to be in. Number one, from the outside looking in, because it's like no matter what you do, you're in the wrong. You could be the best police officer in the world, but if people see one negative message, then it's like they automatically assume everybody. And I think I want to applaud you for kind of even taking the extra step to kind of bridge that gap with some of the students that you work with some of the people that you work with, to kind of help them see, like, at the end of the day, you're human too. You have a job to do, and that's what you have to do.
yep. So I was like I said, I just worked a graduation, and of course, people always joke about, like, one thing I don't like is when people say, if you just say I'm in a convenience store and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna get the police to lock you up." That's one thing that I despise. Do not put that in a kid's head, their psyche, because I aim to bring that officer friendly back, that pal center officer. But even working the graduation today, every time I encounter someone, I just try to change their mindset on policing, or police officers per se, because a lot of I was mentioning to me today, I don't mess with police, and I end up helping the lady. She was like, "Oh yeah, I got to change my views on policing." I said, "Well, we don't categorize every black male as a drug dealer or a killer, so why would we do that for every police officer?" So that's just my tidbit on things. But
Going back to the experience you had, with your father and what happened to him in the line of duty, how do you even lace up, and come outside and know you're doing this, especially in today's climate? Like, how do you even find the strength to do that?
man, subconsciously, I don't even know how I got in, and I guess I always had a passion for criminal justice. I felt like, in high school, I was like, I want to go to James Madison. I know they got a criminal justice program, but never thought I would be a police officer. I felt like maybe federal, FBI, something along those lines. So that was the game plan. But so I guess that's where it was, that's how I got it, from that incident. And I always heard good things about my dad. Granted, he had a short career, but everybody that I connected with always said he had a smile on his face, said he was a fast guy, he would run you down, but nothing bad. So I don't know if I kind of picked off where he left off, so so maybe that was the plan. So now I got to take it a step further, but it definitely, that day resonates. Early on in my career, I just always thought, like, what if my dad got injured around 25, 26 years old? So that was always, and then I was working as a detective, plainclothes capacity. So it was always on the back of my mind. But I've been blessed in my career, haven't had too many incidents. So it never was a thought of, should I lace them up? I think now with everything in police, and now this is like, should I keep going? But I know if I've been wanting to hang them up, but I know that would be a huge void. And I feel like I do a disservice to myself as well as my community.
Along those same lines, like, you not having your dad there to kind of grow up with can kind of leave a lasting impression. So, like, who were those key figures that really played a role in getting you to where you are now, and just kind of really supporting you through the process and helping you see the other side, despite him not being there physically.
Yeah, so my dad is still living. He's blind though,
Okay.
so he works out every day. So things like that. I would say my coaches, they pretty much helped me get through a lot of it. Never really had outside of my dad. There was a lot of physical things that, of course, he couldn't help me with, but he always shared that knowledge with me. So he still was a great influence, but there was a lot of physical things that I pretty much self-taught. But I attribute a lot of my success to my coaches and some of the early officers that I've met in my career.
Appreciate that.
I think those officers set the foundation. I mean, I didn't have an officer that was like, "Oh, you gotta go out here and make a whole bunch of lockups." Officers make sure you're gonna do your 8. You're gonna get home safe. You might have to handle a few things that you need to handle, but you're gonna make your overtime. But the main thing was getting home safe. So, and treated people the way they supposed to be treated.
So what's next? What's next for SOY? What's you said there's an annual. You have the bike rides. You said there was another annual event that y'all have. Like when's the next thing? What's coming up?
So our annual bike ride is July 30th. This year we added a 5K walk or run into it. So we normally average about 150 people. I challenged myself to get 300 there, but I'll settle for 250. But that event is more than just a bike ride. We have a law enforcement engagement piece. We have an educational piece. Of course, we try to use a lot of youth vendors, so we always try to highlight our youth. So it's a movement, trying to get that support around it. Of course, it's not the popular thing to do, but it's a step in the right direction, and we got to create these safe spaces. If not, we continue with the narrative that the media plays out. And where do we fix it? And I just feel as though our Building Bridges bike ride is just a start. We normally average about 60 to 70 youth there. So just trying to grow that. We legitimately block the roads off, so it's a safe event. So no darting in and out of traffic. The roads are shut down. We mobile rock climbing wall. All the kids get Chick-fil-A, gift cards, just a number of things. It's just it's an event for our kids.
And what advice would you give to another young brother that is considering the path of law enforcement, whether it be police officer, correction officer, etc.? What advice would you give?
Well, all the ones I come across, I have my first mentee that's joining the force, but treat people how you want to be treated. At the end of the day, what would you do if that was your relative out there? And that's how I look at it every day. Do I carry my weapon everywhere? Yeah, that's just the day we're living in. But I don't look over my shoulders. I treat people how they supposed to, and that's how I go about policing. I can police Westport, Emerson Village the same way I would police Towson or Pikesville. So
I was gonna ask you what it would be like, rolling up in Towson after one of them Saturday nights and dealing with that crowd out there in uniform. I was gonna ask you something about that. It slipped my mind, but yeah, that's interesting as you said that. Yeah.
Hey, if I can work, I don't know if y'all what's the day I can't. Oh, Club Internationals. So as a 18, 19-year-old with no gun, letting out the Club International on Baltimore Street in the Middle Western District, I can handle myself in Towson.
Absolutely.
I can talk to people. I mean, some people gonna get out of line. A lot of people like to push the buttons, but I can talk to people. It doesn't matter was setting. You know, of course, sometimes you got to use force, but I've been blessed to not had to pretty much use that much force in my career. So
I dig that.
That's what's up. So tell people how they can like for. Do you have any events coming up?
yeah, so we got the
Bike
bike
ride.
ride
Like
July
right,
30th.
July 30th. Got you.
I know we're doing a Juneteenth event. I don't know if this will be aired by then, but we got the Juneteenth event in Oella, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But the events are always on our page. You can follow us at SOY Baltimore on Instagram, Twitter, all your social media platforms. We also you can go to our website www.soybaltimore.org, and our events will be posted there. You can check out pictures of some of our events and some of our mentoring sessions as well.
Got you. Now they on your website there's a option for them like if somebody sees this and want to volunteer or just want to kind of donate, all that information is on there.
Yep, they can click the link to donate. We always welcome that. Being a grassroots organization, of course,
Mm-hmm.
most funders, they want to see what you have done. You know, many people don't take a chance on you until you've proven yourself, which is kind of doesn't really make sense in my opinion. But we're weathering that storm as well. But yes, we definitely always need volunteers. Um, Always looking for strong males to assist the movement as well.
Got you. Any other parting thoughts? And we can kind of close out right here. Anything that you would like to share that you felt like would kind of maybe help somebody or encourage somebody?
I would just say we got to step out of the norm and be the change that we truly want to see. I know we always, it's kind of cliche. We see so many people that post it, but I just challenge people to be different.
Absolutely.
And I
And
thank you brothers as well for just sharing your platform. I like what y'all are doing. I've been watching from a distance as well. I don't think I've uh, subscribed, so I will be subscribing this night as well. So don't please
listen. I
don't try
appreciate it. Look, yeah,
you
we
got my support, and I will share it as well.
we started grassroots like you. I mean, and the whole premise behind it is just kind of share our stories, and I think that's the most important part because when we look back, number one, when we look at media, it's not always positive. It's always going to be, what's happening, not the things that are positive that we can share on a regular basis. And our goal is just kind of make sure that we give people opportunity to share their story, but also, as EJ always put it, give them their flowers while they're still here because everybody has a certain level or certain definition of success, and you can't go by anybody else. You gotta, do it for yourself, and that's the whole purpose. And we kind of started and it really started as an opportunity to talk about mental health among men, but it really kind of blossomed into this. Let's continue to hear stories, because you never know who might be touched by something that you said, or something that was shared, that will kind of touch somebody and really help them to find some clarity or find some sort of peace or purpose in life. So
Well,
thank you
yeah.
for thank you for joining us though.
Yeah, we didn't tap into the mental health. That was
I,
something that I was thinking about prior to the session. Yeah, that's
I mean,
definitely.
we still got some time. We ain't got to cut it right
Hey,
here. So if you want to tap into that, because I know mental
I mean,
health.
I mean, for me, mental health is a big thing. I'm actually, of course, looking for a therapist just because I'm in a tough space and running a nonprofit is challenging. From your board of directors to your marketing, it's
Mhm.
like 7 jobs in one. Um, and even I'm a black officer, so I'm black and blue. So I looked at that movie. So it's tough. Like it can literally be, you know, you could be against everyone could be against you in a sense. So I try to find like-minded brothers to connect with. I use like Bible study, men's Bible study, and things like that just to help my mental health because it's definitely a challenging time.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna ask you a question. What and this probably get back into the mental health. Like, what's your self care regimen? you know, that you implement on a regular.
And that's where my self-care, I probably should be deceased because I don't put enough self-care in. So today I made it a point to, I like to ride my bike. I can just get on and just go. So today I made sure that, of course, my first regiment would be reading my Bible app, reading my daily bread. That's the first. I got to go through my checklist because if not, my day will be haywire. So, but today it consisted of that, and then I was able, it wasn't the ride that I wanted to, but I was able to get 10 miles out down, and then, I went to, doing a field trip with my son. But I think I lack self-care, so that's something that I'm trying to focus more on.
Speaking of the mental health piece, what is it when seeing the things that you possibly or potentially have seen throughout your career, how does it impact you? Is it that you're numb to it as part of the job, or is it something that still to this day impacts you and hits you home, depending on the things that you see?
Yeah, there's a few books out there that I need to share with my family because it says that just to really know what law enforcement deal with daily, it's tough. I mean, we actually lose more police officers to suicides than actually um, line of duty incidents. So I guess it would be the same as military. Um, so it's definitely challenging. Um, there's times where you come home defeated. I think pretty much every profession is probably like that. But this is, like I said, um, people want you to be perfect in this profession. And we know nobody's perfect, but there's little room for error in this profession. So it definitely can be challenging. Um, the space that I'm in now, being a school resource officer, um, some of the things I don't have to deal with, but when you have like the school shootings and things like that, that always plays in the back of your head as well. My first duty is safety. So it's definitely it takes you might have some that abuse their powers, but it takes a special person to just do service, not just from policing, but you know, just to be someone of service, whether it be firefighters, military, it definitely takes a different type of person.
Yeah, there's definitely gotta be, in the front of your mind, especially these days, and it being a real threat, to your line of duty. Whereas, years ago probably wasn't the same. Um, but you went from a detective to this position. What how has that been, and what's that change for you like?
For me, seeing just investing more into youth and community, just seeing it's nothing more fulfilling to me to see you help mold someone and to watch their trajectory. So it's priceless in my opinion. I'm not a millionaire, but so I don't know what that feels like, but I know just seeing you helping someone, you know, it's definitely priceless to me.
Definitely, man. We just want to applaud you. Continue to applaud you for the work that you do and the work that you continue to do. Because I can understand that the job that you have, it's a daily decision that you got to make, and it's a decision that really can affect your family on the regular. So thank you for your service for us, and protecting us, and more specifically for the service that you kind of render to the children, whether in your job or outside the job through the nonprofit. So just really want to applaud you for that, and just really, I'm going to strongly encourage you to kind of get in that self care routine and just kind of focus on that. And
Yes, sir.
if I need to kind of check up on you, I'll make sure I do that.
I appreciate that.
Because the last thing, as for us as African American men, we got to make sure that we take care of ourselves. We give so much to others that we really, forget, that we are human too. and we need to love ourselves like we love everybody else.
Yep.
So, if I can leave you with that, just kind of, work on that. I know you say you were trying to get a therapist, continue to seek that, just do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're good, so that not only can you be good, but your family be good as well.
I appreciate that. Definitely received. I know what I got to do.
Got to take the step and definitely continue to work with SOY, because it can't be more explanatory. Our young need saving.
Yep.
And it's real, man. I mean, we're battling financial struggles, we're battling having to be worried about these supremacist groups and all these other things. And meanwhile, in our inner cities, where cats are taking each other out due to conflict resolution, like you said, or other things. So we definitely need that work, and definitely keep pushing through as best as you can, and definitely going to want to support. I'm going to definitely try to support as much as possible. So for sure.
Thank you.
No problem. So, thank you again for joining us. And I want to thank everyone for joining us for another episode of Unapologetically Black Male, where we talk about surviving the stigma, standards, and systems. Once again, my name is Dwayne Pate, co-host Brother EJ Stewart. I want to continue to shout out one of our sponsors, J. Pope and Associate, and definitely want to shout out Brother Young for the work that he's doing with the SOY movement. Make sure you follow us on all social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, but more specifically, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and help us continue to share this message of positivity for African-American men. We have so many great things going on, and we want to continue to make sure that we celebrate our African-American men and continue to put them in the forefront. So once again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.